Are WWE going to split up a tag team for a massive WrestleMania match? What happened to Bray Wyatt's horror movie? And The Undertaker and Kevin Nash have taken a little bit of a pew-pew at AEW. Stay tuned for all the deets. So kicking things off with the news that WWE are potentially looking to split up a tag team for a big WrestleMania match. Now, Gunther is set to find out who's going to challenge him at WrestleMania 39 on next week's SmackDown. Drew McIntyre came to the ring last night and called out the IC champion, which drew his tag team partner Sheamus out to the ring, who also called out the champion. And then LA Knight came out, then Kofi Kingston, then Karrion Kross. So now it looks like there's going to be a fatal five-way match next week to determine who will face him at WrestleMania. Now, this is in line with reports at the start of February from WrestleVotes that the plan was to have Gunther face Sheamus and Drew at Mania. So we could see some element of swerve here, or a couple of people take themselves out of it leading into that. Or we could see the build to some mega horrible, brutal, it's just going to be
imagine
meat
all
on
of
meat.
I mean, all of them in that match would be quite good, like
Yeah.
a fatal six-way, a bring back championship scramble from Unforgiven. That's what we need. But yeah, so it looks like we could be seeing, based off the reports at the start of February and last night's SmackDown, it looks like they are heading in the direction of Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew.
Yeah.
Those were the ones that were kind of featured in that angle. Specifically, Drew and Sheamus had a little bit of back and forth. Drew was sort of like, I'm coming out and I'm going to challenge Gunther for a match at WrestleMania. And then Sheamus was like, here, don't you do that, fella. You know, love the accents, you know. He sort of was like, you know how much that Intercontinental Championship means to me.
Yeah.
Drew was like, are you my parent? Do I have to ask permission to wipe my bottom? And then Sheamus. The rest all came out. And it was a good segment, but it does look like this is the way it's going to go. I'm excited for a big, meaty, slappy, pew-pew.
It's going to be good. It's going to be. I think that, heading into Mania for Gunther, I was quite excited to maybe see if we get Brock. But now coming out of Mania, I still want Gunther to be holding the title simply because if he makes it all the way to autumn, he beats Honky. And it's about time that record bloody
the
fell.
Honky Tonks record broken.
Record needs to go. It's done. It's been around for too long.
You're saying you would rather see Gunther versus Brock Lesnar than Brock Lesnar versus Omos?
Maybe a little bit, but I don't want to overdo it too much. But my thought for Gunther Brock would just be hilarious to see Brock as IC champion.
Brock as IC champion
just
would be
in
great.
the middle of the card, just like, come on then.
It would instantly elevate that belt to make it the World Intercontinental Championship.
And he'd get to go home way early every night.
Exactly.
He'd love it.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move over to, I don't know if you all remember, but during Bray's exodus from WWE when he was kind of cast out, there was a lot of radio silence, and then Bray just kind of popped up with this enigmatic post that showed he was on a Hollywood backlot. Then the sort of news came out that he was working with a special effects wizard who was called Jason Baker.
Jason Baker, yes.
So he's working with Jason Baker, who's like a special effects specialist. And there was like a small collective of people around Bray, and they were looking to make a horror film. Now, the hype grew considerably and then just kind of fell off a cliff, and then Bray returned to WWE. But Baker recently spoke with Metro UK, where it was brought up, and he said what happened was, I was working with Bray and Rob Fee, and then WWE hired 2/3 of the people working on it. And then they started slamming me with work. It's not dead. It's just we're all working over at WWE now. I'm sure we'll eventually get around to it. We were getting close. And then he started talking with Hunter. And then Hunter hired Rob. And it was like, you guys aren't going to have any time to shoot a movie because we're all going to be busy. But he did go on to say that, he feels like Bray's where he should be right now.
Yeah. I mean, as much as Bray is where he should be at the moment, I hope to God the idea for a horror movie is better than what we've been getting on programming in the past few months.
I think that a lot of it's going to be kind of, I'm quite surprised and encouraged a little bit by the fact that Bray has sort of a creative team around him that WWE are working with, but at the same time we can't look at whatever they're doing on screen and go, that's the quality of what they produce, because they're doing it for the client in the form of WWE. WWE has a very specific way they like to do things.
So they do horror, do they?
And yeah, so it's sort of like, I think that, you know, when you take it out of a live wrestling element, I imagine that it's going to be vastly different in terms of kind of style and quality and presentation than it would be for WWE.
Bray and his characters do feel like they'd be perfect in a horror film, something in the, you know, Jason sort of character, Friday the 13th, maybe some scream in there.
This is what I thought was going to happen. I thought Bray was going to kind of reinvent himself with like an all new thing, like away from all of his WWE stuff, and then return with something tied to that. Yeah. Because obviously he's such a master of reinvention. But either way, it's kind of encouraging to know that the project's not dead. It's still floating. They're still kind of chipping away at it. But it's just WWE occupied all the time right now. So, yeah. But on the point of Bray, and keeping it in and around the Bray situation, Uncle Howdy popped up on last night's SmackDown. Now, what happened there?
Well, Bobby Lashley came out to the ring and demanded that Bray Wyatt sort of meet him. And
he was saying something about, like, it was the same as what he was saying on Raw, right? Where it was like, kind of, you know, I'm sick of these childish games. I don't play childish games.
He's Bobby Lashley. Yeah. He is Big Bob. And then Bray Wyatt did not. Big Bob was not met by Bray Wyatt. It instead was Uncle Howdy, who sort of attacked him from behind and got very physical. We've not seen Uncle Howdy really get physical.
No, and the Bo Selector mask seems to be long gone.
Oh, thank God.
The Bo Selector mask seems to be long gone. We're downtown now to like the svelte wooden looking masks.
It looked a lot better in movement, that's for sure. But he attacked Lashley. No, when you don't want a wobbly face. He attacked Lashley from behind and then proceeded to run the ropes and take some bumps himself. Lashley hit him with sort of a spine buster, sort of Uranagi slam, which then set him up for the spear. Lashley gets in the corner, he's ready, he's raring to go.
And then
the lights go out. Lights come back. Uncle Howdy isn't there.
Ooh, spooky mind games, Bob. What are you gonna do?
What is it? I feel like Bobby is not the right character, the right person to be dealing with a spooky character, because he's quite a serious individual in the ring.
It's one of those things where I think it's always hard to get something off the ground when there's a spooky element to it. In general, I guess, you know, like we took Undertaker for granted and Kane for granted because tenure really carried a lot of that. Yeah. And then eventually, you know, Undertaker was on a motorbike, Kane was just having normal conversations and wasn't covered in horrific scars. Yep. And even though they were kind of demonsterized, they were still, you know, spooky. But with Bray, it's kind of, there's always a lot of build that goes into it, I feel. And that initial phase of the build's always a little bit like, really? Okay, right, yep. Yeah,
but it's cool to see Uncle Howdy getting physical. We know it's like very likely Bo Dallas. I think we've had that confirmed now that it is Bo Dallas under the mask.
Yeah, I think it's been gently confirmed, but nothing official, of course.
Nothing official, but it's cool to see him getting physical.
Oh, yeah. For sure. But we're going to move over to NXT now, where this one comes from the Wrestling Observer, by the way, but where NXT are looking to split up a tag team. Apparently, right now, the plan is for Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley to break up, as it has been getting teased fairly recently.
It's been getting teased on NXT, and it's not a surprise. We've seen a few tag teams recently break up in NXT. It's just interesting that, obviously, I feel like with NXT working as developmental, it is absolutely the right time to sort of test these things.
This is it,
Who works better as a tag team, who works better as a single star, who works better as a heel, who works better as a face.
So I don't think you can read too much into it when it's NXT talent kind of just changing things up, because it does feel like the company's going to go, okay, we'll try you on a tag team. Okay, we'll try you doing this. Okay, let's see what happens if we put you in like a larger group. And they're kind of just trying to work out everybody's strengths, aren't they? So it's kind of, I imagine it's just one of those feeling it out phases and trying to find a route forward for them both. But best of luck to them. Back last night, though, on SmackDown, Cody just slipped in a bit of a cheeky reference, didn't he?
Oh, my God. Yeah, pop the boys for sure. Cody Rhodes met Roman Reigns in the ring on SmackDown, hyping up their match for WrestleMania. And in the process, he made a reference to his old stomping ground, that is AEW, or rather, what it was before AEW, All In. So he said, Cody Rhodes said that when people tell him he cannot do things, he has a way of making them happen. And he then said, he quoted, he was like, there's no way 10,000 people would pay to see me. I mean, that was wrong. I think I got a typo on that.
I think there was 100,000 people that bought it.
Yeah. Well, he said there's no way 10,000 people would pay to see me and my buddies' little indie show. And then the Young Bucks later on changed their bio on Twitter to All In.
It was, but the full quote was me and my buddy's little indie show before I went home and did nothing for a few years.
Yeah, he did nothing after that.
I did nothing for a few years and then I came back. No. Could you imagine if they tried that with Cody?
Cody's just been away.
He's just been away, nondescript. He's not been doing much in the world of wrestling. But look into AEW here. There's a bit of a curious one. It definitely wasn't what I was expecting to see this morning when I opened up Twitter and I couldn't stop laughing. I felt bad for it, but I couldn't stop laughing. So, The Undertaker and Kevin Nash had a bit of an interesting exchange with somebody on Twitter last night. Kind of doing a little bit of a pew-pew at AEW. So it was user Machiavelli Madame, Machiavelli Made Me, posted a photo of Wheeler Yuta being held in a sharpshooter while his face is covered in blood. Of course, like I think callback to the Austin Brett moment where Austin passed out. But it was tweeted with, imagine you're stone cold on your ranch, drinking a Budweiser, scrolling Twitter, and you see this being compared to you. Kevin Nash then replied with, don't worry, he ain't watching. And then out of nowhere, The Undertaker just popped up, got involved and said, huge pop.
And
that was it. I lost it. I was like, Undertaker.
Undertaker using Twitter. That's weird in itself. Oh. 2, Undertaker just replying to this random tweet by going, huge pop. He's the boy popper, is Kevin Nash.
But look, I mean, he's got to be right. Surely once you get to a certain point in the wrestling industry, you don't really, once you're out of it, once you're kind of, like Austin lives on a ranch, he's had reality TV shows. The guy's going to be dipping in and out of the product, I'd imagine, but largely, on his evenings, he's probably having a nice meal, cooking something cool, doing a workout.
Crazy Undertaker, just sitting. I can imagine him sitting at home, full Undertaker gear, hat on, long trench coat,
just a full-size cut out of Paul Bearer in the corner,
eyeliner,
smoke machine there. Going, purple lights.
Oh, LOL, I thought you were dead. Huge pop. It's just, that's my head. That's in my head. That's what Undertaker, realistically, he's
I absolutely love it. There's nothing more you could say.
Taking a pew-pew at AEW.
That is it for our second dose of lovely bumper weekend wrestling news. Make sure you stick with us over the course of the weekend, though, because why, Fraser? Why?
Because it is AEW Revolution this weekend, and we've got a lot of things going on. So tomorrow night, you can watch Adam and Andrew do the live reactions to Revolution on YouTube right here on this very channel. We've also got what happened at just after the show. We'll have WTF moments as well following the show.
There'll be news, there'll be all the regular stuff.
All that sort of good stuff. Go and just enjoy it. Yeah, Revolution's going to be good.
All right, catch us in a bit.